Yeah, you read that right. We're doing an elevator tier list. So I came to Elden Ring a little bit late, and I wanted to talk about Elden Ring in a way that felt like it was encapsulating my time with this game. And what better way to do that than with a tier list? This all kind of started with this one elevator in particular being the Sophia River Well. Pretty iconic. I think I saw a post about it when I first came across it. It's like a minute long, something insane like that. And that to me is when it first really weighed upon me how much detail they put into this game. And nowhere is that more seen than in the fucking elevators. There is so much detail, and there's not enough information about this anywhere on the internet. I tried forever looking up different to see if there's like any sort of cataloged resources I could use. There wasn't. So instead of dropping this idea like a sane person, I decided to spend the next several days and hours of my life cataloging these, organizing these, and eventually putting forth in front of you a tier list, trying to rank these elevators from worst to best, because there is a difference. Now, the thing that also strikes me as so wild with these elevators is that they put so much incredible amounts of detail into this in a game, where you can walk around and maybe ride a horse around and, go up and down some ladders, and there's also, literal fast travel mechanics in the game on top of actual fucking teleporters. They decided to put in over 90 different elevators in a game that has teleporters. Truly astounding, amazing. The creative design behind this game is unmatched. We're going to get right into this tier list. So, starting right off the bat here, we have the Sophia Riverwell. This one here. This one is the most iconic elevator in the game, probably. Being the inspiration for this tier list, I feel like I have to give it some sort of credence, some kind of, acknowledgement. It's really fancy, it's got this kind of mystical blue aura, and then it's that first time you get to see the underground realm with Nokron. Really cool. I love the purple sky. And it's obviously a banger. No one's arguing with that. Absolute banger. Sits through the minute ride every time. If you fast travel down below, you're a fake fan. That's the real conclusion we can come to. But it is a minute long. But I think I'm going to take that as a plus. So we're going to go ahead. We're starting off with a banger. The start of this list, starting off with S tier. Now these other elevators just need to hold up. Now I'm thinking, do I go in order or do I just start going out of order like a haphazard madman? And I kind of want to go out of order like a haphazard madman. I think that's what I got to do. I think that's just what it is. Let's see. Where is my standard lift? Where, you son of a bitch, where are you in this mess? I have a 50-page document documenting all of these. It is a nightmare. This has been my nightmare. There it is. Limgrave Tunnels. I think Limgrave Tunnels has 3 or 4 lifts off the top of my head. This is probably just the first one. This is the standard lift you'll come across in several of the cave dungeons in the game. It's the average one. I think this is a good C tier. This is something fair to compare everything else against. So it's wooden, obviously, and it has the chains coming up to the center. So you can obviously, it has an obvious mechanism there. So I do like that. I like it when I can tell how it is functioning, because there are some of these where you really can't. They just work. And while that can be cool, some of it's cool to see those things. Those are little details that make the world feel more lived in. So we can go with variations of this lift now. This is one of the more cool things that they do in this game, is that they have variations on these lifts, because it would just be too easy to use the same lift over and over again. No, they'll give you some more unique ones. Again, instead of teleporters. Let's go ahead and start off. This one's catching my eye right here. This is the lift from Castle Soul. And as you can see, it's the structure-wise the exact same as the standard lift. It's just a little bit cold. You know, it's just a little bit cold. I think that's neat. When I came across this, I thought, wow, that is so cool. They did not have to do that, and they did. They did for some reason. They did. So, you know, went ahead and just added up to the total amount of unique elevators. We're going to go ahead and put this in here. I think it's a little bit better than the standard lift because I think it's neat. We're going to go solid B tier. I think it's cool. Now, right here, here's another good one. You can see here by my character's bare butt. This is from early off in the game, where I was naked running around with a club like I do in my free time. This is from Castle Morn. Very cool elevator. The difference between this and the standard lift isn't anything to do with the elevator itself, but more of its surroundings. This is what I would call the enclosed lifts. There's a few of these. Some of these have more notable locations. One in particular that I remember standing out is Radahn's, the Red Mane Castle before Radahn's fight. That one is just interesting because you go on this elevator ride and the only imagery before you have this enclosed thing, and then it opens up to the battlefield, just this massive sand desert. So that's kind of neat, pretty cool. Past that, it's more of an enclosed elevator. So I'm gonna still stick it in C, but just a little bit worse than the standard lift. Still cool though, still interesting. One quick side note: there are over 90 elevators in this game. If my math is correct, using the stipulations I'm using, there's about 93. Obviously, I don't have 93 images here because I don't want to be any more insane than I already am. I feel crazy as it is right now doing this. Like, this would be an hour-long video. I can't have that. We can't have that. You don't want that. So there's so many of these that I had to leave out, and some of them were more unique. One of them, the ones that I'm missing. There's actually a variation on this frost elevator. It's in the yellow annex in the Mountaintop of Giants. It's a different one. It's more of like a softed frost. Apparently, I left it out of here. Either I'm sorry or be thankful. I don't know how you feel at this point about this whole thing. Let's go ahead. Let's move on. So the other one that is from that same cavern, though, the Yellow Annex, is we actually have arguably the most unique elevator in the entire game. And that's going to be the broken elevator right here. Now, I'm really torn on this one because this one stopped me in my tracks. I was literally floored. Nothing has really puzzled and made me rethink my life more than this elevator coming across playing this game. Because after I started taking note of all the elevators in the game, the one that doesn't work kind of stumped me. You know, they're, like I said, you can walk, you can run, you can crouch, you can go up ladders, you can go through teleporters in this game, and they have a broken elevator. Amazing. It's just fucking astounding that they decided that was what the game needed. I love it. So I'm really torn. You know, on one hand, it's broken. F tier, solid F tier, right? But also, it's broken. So S tier, right? I'm putting it in S tier. It's so fucking cool. I love it. And if you disagree with me, that's cool. Make your own elevator tier list. I dare you, you coward. Anyways, moving on. We have a few more. So there's a few more notable ones. Oh, I found it. I found the other frosted trap. This is also from the Yellow Annex in the Mountaintop of Giants. See how this one has kind of more of a solid chill around the exterior, and then gets a little bit more worn in on the button, like where people would be walking on it. Like, it's not directly exposed to the elements all the time, maybe just some stuff kind of brushed in on it from the wind. Super cool. Super cool. I don't think it's as cool as the other one, though. Anyways, solid B tier. We're going to go ahead and leave that there. Now, let's go ahead and see the other standard lifts. This one is what I would call an ornate standard lift. You can see there's some metal ornaments on this, some designs. Obviously, this is found more in like Places of Wealth. I believe this one is the lift side chamber from Stormvale Castle, but you can find this across Stormvale Castle and inside of Leyendell. That's where you probably find it more often. I think it's neat. It's cool. Another thing they just didn't have to do, but also it's not so different from the standard lift that I'm like absolutely swooning over it. So we're gonna put that one at the bottom of B tier. It's okay. You know, right now we're kind of loading up the middle here, but we're starting with the middle. We get to the more interesting ones later on. In the same vein of that lift, we have the Leyendell shortcut elevator. It's so short. You can see the whole thing. It is this giant mechanical elevator in a building the size of a Taco Bell. It just does not make sense. You can jump, if you have it fully depressed where it's down and you're on the upper level, you can just jump down taking no fall damage. The elevator here serves literally no purpose. This is the example I would point someone to when I tell them there's 93 elevators in this game. They say, how could they put 93 elevators in this game? It's this. This is how. You get shit like this. It doesn't make sense. This could have been a ladder, but it's also so notable because of how tiny it is. It does not bring me joy in the same way the broken elevator does. I would have preferred a broken elevator here, but yeah, there's our first F tier. That might be the only F tier because I have genuine hatred for this, and I hope this elevator breaks and is not properly maintained. Moving on. Okay, we have one more what I would call a standard lift, and this one is notable for some of the other reasons I've brought up, being more of its location than less of the elevator itself. This one's going to be the shaded castle lift. I think this elevator is very neat. It's the one surrounded by the weeping angel looking ass motherfuckers. Really cool, really creepy. Right before the Briar fight. I think it's neat. I think little statues like that are cool. So we're going to go ahead and put it, I want to put it in between the two. No, top of B. We're going top of B, baby. I've decided right now. It's official. I knew that the whole time. I think that's all the standard lifts I have here. There were some other ones I found more notable. Like there's some in the crystal tunnels that are kind of pretty because you can see the crystals, or somewhere you can see the trees. But I had to draw a fucking line somewhere, man. So let's do the catacombs one. The catacombs elevator. It's a stone guy. You just kind of step on it, right? Nothing too special. I'm going to put this one as the standard lift. It's fine. You know, it gets the job done. It's kind of propelled by a giant stone shaft. Yeah, it's just a standard lift. Good on you. Now, variations of that, because there are variations. I believe there's actually only two. This is one of the interesting ones. It's a more common elevator. They only decided to change it up twice. And funny enough, it's in the same dungeon. They put the two variations in the same dungeon, and only in that dungeon. The chain lift, it's one of the mountaintop, Giant's mountaintop dungeons. Anyways, so this one here, it's hung up by chains and operated that way. It's the only one you see like that in the game, but other than that, it's the exact same. So, you know what? I'm actually going to put it below the standard one. So it's like, why are you trying to be different? I don't get it. But also because there's an elevator later in this dungeon that is way cooler than this one. And compared to it, it is the lame one. There's a double elevator in that same dungeon later on. It's that idea they take from earlier on in the game where you would go down an elevator, then backtrack to step on the button of the elevator to make the elevator go back up, but you would hop off because you actually need to go into the hole of the elevator. Such a cool idea. And right here, they decided that that wasn't cool enough, so they gave you this little, like, pod, kind of like a little elevator pod. Like, it's like a double elevator, so there's one here and one here on the same shaft. Cool idea. They only use it this one time, and I don't know why, because they reuse... It's like, they reuse the elevators so much, and then they'll give, like, this dungeon just this one little thing, like, there you go. Yeah, that's what you get. Even some of the more notable elevators, like the river wells, the elevators themselves are all the same. The setting just changes. But this gets a unique one. Yeah, amazing. The brilliance. I don't know if I'm angry or happy about these things that I've discovered. I'm just approaching insanity. Okay, so let's do the rest of the common elevators. We have the Hero's Grave elevators. They're all the same. There's one notable thing about the Hero's Grave elevators, though, which no other elevator does in the entire game, and it's that they spin you. It doesn't matter at all. It spins you like 90 degrees, but it's another one of those things that's just, why? It didn't have to spin you, you know? Why did you decide this one had to spin you? This is the elevator I'll talk about in therapy, is this one. I just can't understand it in a way that's meaningful to me, but that's okay. It's cool. It goes in A tier because of that, because it spins. Another common one that you'll see throughout is the rise elevators. Now these ones to me are just little baby river wells. They're nothing too fancy. I believe this one's from Chilona's Rise, if I'm gonna be specific. I'm putting it in D tier. It just kind of floats up and it glows like a little bit blue, like the tiniest bit blue. I had to go back and check and see if these even all glowed blue, because I swear some of them didn't. They all glow just a tiny bit blue. And in this moment right now, I'm saying it's D tier. Moving on here, we can get through some of the more, there's some more ornate stone variations. Every region kind of has its stone variation lift. So we'll go ahead and get through those really quick. We have the Rea Lucaria stone lift. It's more of this circular design with the circles in the corners. It's cool, you know, it's all right. You don't run into it too often. I think you run into it once in one of the caves, and then again right before the Renala fight, and it's cool. It's okay, you know. Yeah, but I am going to say it's probably my least favorite of the stone designs. So while not bad, I'm going to put it in C tier, I think. It's just all right. Next, we have the Halig Tree and Ferrum Azula. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do Ferrum Azula. Ferrum Azula is really cool. It's got more of that kind of ancient dragon design. A lot of the times these stone elevators are based off of like tree roots. That's a lot of the design that goes through them. This one is a little bit different because it's obviously kind of harkening back to the old reign, the old kingdom. So this one is cool. I'll put it in B tier. I like it. In that same vein, the Halig Tree one. Still also cool, but in my opinion, not as cool. I think it's this is the Millennia shortcut in the Halig Tree. This one's cool. You can see a lot more of the root designs, kind of, you know, the idea of the Halig Tree. So there's a lot more of that present in the stonework, but otherwise it is basically the same elevator. So I am going to make the distinction to put this at the top of C tier, just below that one, just because I like the Ferrum Azula one a little bit more. Yeah, this is the Erdtree Sanctuary. This one, I'd have to look at it again in a better light, but this is the only other unique stone one, and it's the only one Leyendell got, which is so bizarre to me. Because there's a few in the Halig Tree, there's a few in Ferrum Azula, but this is the only one in Leyendell that gets this treatment. Because otherwise they just get the ornate standard lift. So because it's the only one, it's kind of cool. I'm going to put it in between the two, at the bottom of B tier. We are now, I think, officially at some of the more unique ones, plus the river wells. So let's go through the river wells real quick. We already have the Sophria one done, obvious S tier. The rest of these are neat, but just okay. They're all reusing that same design, and in my opinion, the effect of this elevator is lost on the player after the first one, because the first one is so purposeful, so intentful on giving you this magical view before you for so long, and just making you truly understand how deep you are in the world. These ones are just kind of surrounded by rocks, you know, which is, it's fine, I guess, but disappointing nonetheless. So I'm actually going to grade these pretty harshly. I do think they're cool. So we're going to go ahead and say, so we have like the Einsel Riverwell. I'm going to give that one an A. I think it's cool. We'll put the Estelle Einsel Riverwell right behind that one too. That one is very cool. But I will be taking points away from the Nokron elevators. There's 3 Nokron elevators on the way to the Grand Cloister. They all use the same elevator as the Riverwells, and I think that takes away from it. So I'm going to put that by the Rise elevators. And with that, we're down here now to a point where I'm going to call these some of the more unique elevators. So starting off, one-off elevators. Just kidding, I'm a fucking liar. We have the Divine Tower elevators. They're cool. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A. There's 6 of them, right? They're all the same though. I looked, there's no differences between them. You can see through the windows and see some different scenery at some points in some of them, but not enough for any of it to make any sort of lasting impact on me. So I'm calling them all the same, but they are cool. They are gonna go in A tier. They are a cool elevator. I'm going to put them at the top of A tier, though. They're a little bit cooler than spinning. So, they are cool. We have, this is the rooftop Dragon Temple elevator from Farum Azula. It's kind of just this one-off stone elevator here. It's cool. There might be another one of these in the game somewhere. I didn't see one that was the exact same as this. So it struck me as odd because they have their own unique elevator for the area already, but they decided, no, another one. So while this is cool, it's not the most cool to me. It doesn't strike me as very interesting. I'm gonna put it kind of in here below the more notable standard lifts, but above the average stuff. The next one I'm seeing here that strikes me as notable is the Forbidden Lands elevator. That's what I'm gonna call it. This lift is baller as fuck for not having a name. It's really cool. It's a really huge lift. Really cool. It feels the same to me as this other rooftop in like design wise, but the presentation in the surrounding area does more for me. I like it. I'm actually gonna put this one at the bottom of A. Now we have some of the more peculiar ones. This is the east lift to the Rald Tower. This one with the switch in the center, it's one of the more unique ones. I think it's the only style that has the switch for the elevator move with the elevator. Really different. It also has this kind of grand wood design and more of like an octagon kind of idea. I really like it. I'm going to put it just below the Forbidden Land, just above the Forbidden Lands one. I think those ones are really cool. I believe there's two of these, to be fair, because there's that one and then there's the one in Landel when you would go back up to where that giant golem is, where you have the travel teleporter to one of the other divine towers. I believe they're the same. And similar to that, we have the upside down Carrion Study Tower elevator. It's the same idea as that one, but instead of having a lever, it just has a button. So not as cool, still unique from the other elevator, but not as cool. I'm going to go ahead and put you into the bottom of A tier. Another one that I thought was immediately beautiful upon seeing it, the Rhea Lucaria entrance elevator into the Academy. It's this giant, it's the same idea as the previous stone Royal Academy stone elevators, but it's expanded much larger, and it has these giant window panes as you go up that are just really pretty. It's one of my favorite elevators in the game. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this one as I'm looking straight into S, baby. It's going to S. It's a good elevator. It's baller. I like it. It left an impact on me as much as the other ones in S tier. So that's where we're going. You guys will have to forgive me at this point. There is a type of elevator that I have omitted from this list, and it is because I am just now realizing I forgot it. There's a series of elevators I would call in this cage elevator. The first time you'll see it usually is in Volcano Manor. There's a few of those cage elevators that are really cool. If I had those here, easy A tier. Right here, I have the Forsaken Depths one, which is a variation. It's more of a cylindrical style, less of a box, more of a cylindrical style. This one is very cool. It also has a really cool scenery, some really cool imagery. To me, this is an A tier, easy A tier. It's very iconic. One of the more different ones as well. Because you only ever see those cage style really in Volcano Manor and then also in the Divine Tower of Caelid lower down, and this one is a variation of those, so that one's really cool. In the same vein here as that one in A tier, we have the Halig Tree shortcut elevator. It's the same kind of caged idea, but it's more of this white stone. Really cool. This one's really neat, really royal and ornate. It gives me the vibe of something you would see actually in some crazy person's castle, and for that I'm going to put it kind of midway into A tier. Now, honestly, I like this one more than the River Wells. We're putting it right below the Hero's Grave. Now we have the Mogwin Palace elevator. This is one of the very unique ones. It almost feels like this whole section of Earth is kind of rising with you, and it's all shaped in a way that fits the environment. They built this elevator into the environment. They didn't kind of place it there. This is molded and designed with the environment in mind. I really like this one. This is another one that I'm going to go ahead and stick right in the middle of A tier. It's really cool. Definitely one of the more unique elevators. And also it's neat too, because you think, oh, maybe just that center section rises and then the whole thing kind of comes up with you. Like all these staired pieces as well. So really cool. I like that. The last one we have for our more regular elevators. We have the Temple of Egle? I don't know. It's in Volcano Manor. It's after the Godskin fight. I was just thinking like Godskin Duo. No, there's too many bosses in this game. Really cool. This is another one of those elevators that could have just been a fucking ladder, but they decided no, we'll give this really unique one-off ornate stone elevator that has carved in statues on the underneath of the elevator. Why it is that bougie, I have no clue, and it keeps me up at night, but I love it. S tier. I love it. At this point here, we're at the last section of elevators, pretty deep into this. We're going to go ahead and start off with the ones that I'm going to go ahead and call the cutscene elevators. There's a few elevators that have cutscenes. Right off the bat, Dectus and Rolled. We're going to talk about these both at the same time because they're basically the fucking same. Really cool. It's an elevator that gets a cutscene in a video game that gets very few cutscenes. So the fact that they would do that at all is absolutely astounding. But having said that, one of these is cooler than the other because the Rolled elevator can go to 2 places and Dectus can only go to 1. Also, in my opinion, it's really easy to not even use the Dectus elevator. Between me and my friend group, none of us got to Altus using that. And I don't know how common it is for people to do that, but I always would just go through the magma worm fight. Rolled, S tier, Dectus, A. They're cool. Basically the same. They have glowing eyes. Yada, yada, yada. We gotta start speeding this shit up. At this point now, like we're still doing cutscene elevators, but we're getting into the territory of should we even consider this an elevator? And I'm gonna argue yes. We're gonna start with the coffin elevators. These are enclosed devices that are moving you from one elevation to another, and some of them by magic. Some of these other elevators move by magic. I'm calling them elevators. And they get cutscenes, so fucking wild. I think the first one, going up into the deep roots, is sick as fuck with the magic. Was not expecting that when your guy hops in there with in the coffin. It's cool as hell. Makes no sense to me, but I love it. S tier. The next one we're going to talk about. I believe the next one chronologically is the one that moves you down into Nokrin City, down this kind of gray waterfall, and you ride down the waterfall. Very cool, very funny. It's gonna be the only cutscene elevator beside, well, I'm putting it in A tier. It's gonna go at the top of A tier. It's cool, but like, it's the same thing as the Blood one in the Blood River, or the Scarlet Rot River going down into the Grand Cloister, or out of the Grand Cloister. And that one is baller as fuck. If you just had to look at these 2 images and tell me which one is cooler, I'm sorry, I'm picking the red one. It's just sick. It's so cool. I love it. S tier. I was already pushing the envelope on what an elevator is, and now I'm really gonna push the envelope on what an elevator is. The waterfall lift thing from the Academy. Yeah, kind of an elevator. It gives me the vibe of an elevator, and it also didn't have to be this thing at all, but it's cool. It's different. I like it. I wish they did more of this. You're gonna go into A tier. Probably at the... No, I'm gonna put it above. I'm putting it right here. It's going near the top. I think it's sick. As I was looking at some of these older ones, I'm like, those are just elevators. But this, also an elevator. But cool. It's a cool elevator. All right, wrapping it up here. We're at the traps. These ones in most dungeons are not elevators, but you can interact with them in ways that do make them elevators. Should they be considered elevators? I am. If you don't want to, make your own fucking list. We're gonna start off here. We have the fire trap elevator. It's cool, really interesting and neat, but also has killed me more times than I'd care to ever admit. So I'm gonna put you at the top of D tier. Next would be the frost trap one. Same deal, same exact thing, but this one just shoots ice instead of fire. I thought the distinction was important enough to include it, so we're gonna go ahead and put it, I think, at the bottom of C. Still really cool, but I don't know. I'm just bitter. It killed me a lot. The last one is, it's hard to tell from this image here, but it's the needle ceilings elevators. And it's hard to, this one's probably the most out there because it's not really an elevator. It's the whole floor moving. It's the whole floor moving from one level to another. But in my mind, that's still kind of an elevator if you have to go from one elevation to another. It just also kills you by riding it. So kind of interesting, kind of cool. I love the idea of it. Also, it's one of my more favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So C tier. All right, that's it. That's the elevator tier list. I'm looking at this now. I don't think there's anything I really want to change. I'm realizing now I was really harsh on some of these things in D tier. There's not a lot there. It's a little top heavy, but this is a positive video. You know, we're praising these things, except that elevator, the short Landell shortcut thing. Fuck that elevator. But otherwise, it's positive. So this, I don't know what else to say. This is the capstone to my madness. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys liked it. If you made it to the end of this, you're an absolute fucking trooper, and I hope you have learned something. To recap, Elden Ring has 93 elevators, and about 40 of them I'd consider to be some form of unique. Again, thanks for sticking through to the end here. I'm going to make more weird stuff like this. Maybe not this exactly, but I really don't want to get pigeonholed into one kind of content, and I don't want to do that. I just want to have fun. I'm just having fun. So if you guys want to keep having fun with me, or if you guys are enjoying this at all, go ahead and give me a like. Or say something down in the comments. Type something silly down in the comments, and I'll say something silly to you back. So, thanks a ton. Later.